Going to sit there and say it affected his legacy to some degree from the perspective that you are 2-3 in the finals, even though I don't count that first finals loss when he was in Cleveland going up against San Antonio.
I'll give you that
as far as I'm concerned, he didn't have a
matter.
team.
Yep, sure.
You know, so to me, I look at him as 2-2. But what I will say is this: if you're the best player in the world, you can't completely escape culpability when the San Antonio Spurs go on a 50-20 run. Okay, somewhere along that road, you've got to be able to stop the bleeding to some degree. And he couldn't stop it.
Sure.
He couldn't stop it when they scored 12 straight after being down 22-6. He couldn't stop it when they went 33-13. He couldn't stop it when overall the run was 50-20. But at the same time, I'm not holding him to the same level of accountability as others will, because we have to recognize he was going up against a superior team. And by the way, he didn't have all his horses. Dwayne Wade is going to have to get operated on this summer.
Yep.
There's no question about it. He's not healthy. Chris Bosh, that's a different ball game because he's got to sit there and continue to develop his game. I don't understand why he was so pedestrian during this series. The Miami Heat are actually older. People think the San Antonio Spurs are older. The Miami Heat actually have an older team than the San Antonio Spurs. Their average age is 30. San Antonio is 29. So you have to take that into consideration. They don't have much of a bench. Outside of Ray Allen, who did you have? Udonis Haslem is older. Chris Birdman Anderson, he's limited, okay? You look at Mario Chalmers, obviously, you know, he ended up getting benched for this game because of the way he struggled in the first 4 games. You just look at a whole bunch of these. Greg Oden never materialized. That experiment was a bust. Michael Beasley couldn't figure out things defensively, and as a result, he wasn't even dressing for the finals until last night. So when you look at it from all of those standpoints, there's no way to get around the fact that LeBron James, it was almost 1-on-5.
Yeah.
And so when you look at it from that perspective, I don't think it takes the hit that some other people would give it. I understand that you have to sit there and point the finger at him to some degree because he is the best player in the world. But at the same time, this wasn't Dallas where you're looking at the Miami Heat. They were evenly matched or they should have won the series. If you know the game of basketball and you watch the game of basketball, the San Antonio Spurs were incredibly superior to the Miami Heat, and even the greatest player in the world can't overcome that.
Okay, so when we talk about legacy, we're talking about 11 years worth now for LeBron James. We're talking about 2 and 3 in the NBA Finals. I give you the pass that you gave him for the first one against these Spurs younger.
Sure, so 2 and 2.
2 and 2. It was 2 and 3, but 2 and 2. I'll give you that.
Okay.
Now, there was the meltdown against Dallas, and I don't think that gets expunged off his legacy just because he broke through and finally won 1 ring.
I agree.
Then we had the Ray Allen shot. Don't get me started last year. It did save LeBron's legacy. It took him off the hook for a very shaky end to Game 6 last year. Okay. You and I disagree about this because obviously LeBron played a great Game 7, and I give you that, but he would not have had a Game 7 unless Ray Allen nails that corner 3, which was one of the great clutch shots I have ever witnessed. So now let's look at what just transpired in these finals. LeBron had cramps to start Game 1. Just for a superstar, you have to figure out how to avoid cramps in Game 1 of the NBA Finals because I can't remember any other great player who had cramps in the finals. I just can't remember it. You have to figure out how to maneuver around your cramps.
It's not fair, but go ahead.
Okay, but look, I'm putting this in the big picture of a guy who wasn't there when his team really needed him. They really needed him in Game 2, and he was all-time sensational because this is a supremely gifted player. And all the way through last night, I was scared to death of LeBron James. I'll put that out there publicly. But then Game 3, when his team really, really needed him, he got off to the sensational start, you recall, in Game 3. Then he went strangely quiet and passive the last 3 quarters of that game, scored only 8 points with 7 turnovers in the last 3 quarters. And I'm thinking, where are you, LeBron? Game 4, which is pivotal. This is basically do or die at home, your house. The whole first half, strangely quiet and passive. I couldn't figure it out. I'm thinking, thank you, LeBron James.
Well, first of all, there's a couple of things that you're missing, all right? Number one, you can't mention his cramps without mentioning the fact that the AC broke and it was 102 degrees.
Did anybody else cramp?
Time out.
Nobody else cramped.
Time out.
Nobody else cramped.
I'm going to tell y'all this right now. Understand something. If the San Antonio Spurs had stomped on a team tantamount to the Cleveland Cavaliers from years ago, you wouldn't be sitting here celebrating the way you're celebrating, because it wouldn't mean that much. It means that much because you beat the best player in the world. Respect it. The point that I'm trying to make to you is that it's not a joke. Nobody's making excuses here. But the fact of the matter is that it's not like the dude hasn't suffered from cramps before. Now, if you have normal conditions and then all of a sudden, all right, it's not there, then that can throw you for a loop. That's what happened in game one. When you look at what the rest of this team was doing, you can't sit here and stick your chest out and bloviate about the greatness of the San Antonio Spurs and to forget about that when it's time to criticize the best player in the world. What did Greg Popovich do? He took Kawhi Leonard, 22 years of age, 6'8", incredibly athletic, exceptional defensively. Not only did he put him on LeBron James, but he had him backed up by Tim Duncan and Tiago Splitter, who's no scrub on the defensive end of the floor. So if you've got 2 7-footers on your front line backing you up, and at the same time you're 6'8" and an elite defender in your own right, and you're going up against LeBron James, well, then that's going to limit him, especially when he's throwing the ball to other people and nobody can make a damn shot. Right. So let's not act like this dude all of a sudden sat up there, sold out, didn't show up, or whatever the case may be. That wasn't the case. He lost to a better team.